Rajeshwari MG. She pursued her BE in Electrical and Electronics at the People's Education Society College of Engineering, Mandya. She pursued her MTech in VLSI Design and Embedded Systems at the Sri Jagadguru Balagangadharanta Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Her personal skills lie in good verbal and written communication skills. Her areas of interest lie in OOPS with C++, renewable energy sources, HVDC transmission, digital relays, automotive electronics, advances in VLSI design. She has also had papers presented at the national level, such as the Innovative Architecture for SoC Multi-Core Hybrid Processor, presented at the RNSIT, Bangalore.
Welcome to UGC lecture series of BSc Physics Honours. Today we are dealing with the subject electromagnetic theory. In this session we are going to deal with some of the topics of Maxwell's equation section, that is about the magnetic potential. So the contents are magnetic potentials, which is having two types, that is scalar potential and as well as a vector potential. And also we are going to deal about the gauge transformation, where we are going to deal about the Coulomb's gauge, which is frequently used here, and also about the production of or generation of electric field and magnetic field. So let us start with the magnetic potentials. The magnetic potential is a method of presenting the magnetic field by using a quantity called potential instead of the actual B vector field. So usually the quantities that is represent with the vector field, that is B will be the magnetic field, which can be always represented with the help of vector field. But here with the help of magnetic potential, it is another quantity that will going to represent the vector field of magnetic field. That is a vector field is what previously used for the magnetic field, but using another type of quantity that is for a magnetic field, that is called as a potential. So here we are going to use a potential instead of vector field. It is called as a magnetic potential. So the magnetic field can be related to a potential by two methods. So how we are going to relate this magnetic field, which is having two types. One is again magnetic scalar potential and as well as a magnetic vector potential. So we need to know what is a magnetic scalar potential and also the magnetic vector potential. So the magnetic scalar potentials will be starts with like this. In the electrostatics we know that electric field, that is we always represent as E, which is derivable from electric potential V. So for representing the electric field, we are taken it as V here, that we are considered E as, that is electric field E as electric potential. So whatever the terms that is present in electrostatic is considered here as a potentials, that way it is called as magnetic potential. So here E, which represent the electric field in electrostatic, now it is represent as electric potential, that is V. So this equation now becomes, that is del dot E is equal to 0, that is represented as like E is equal to minus del V. So where we are going to represent here, which is don't have any directions, that is it is V is purely a scalar quantity that is used for representing electric field. So V is a scalar quantity, so it is easier for us to handle E than E, so which is very much easier for E doesn't have, V doesn't have any direction, only magnitude will be there. So this will be very helpful for handling purpose than E, that is electric field. So electric field, we already know the electric field will have both magnitude as well as direction. So this can be converted as a scalar when we are going to consider the electric field E as a electric potential V. So in magnetostatics, the quantity magnetic scalar potential can be again obtained using this analogy. So magnetic potential now we need to know. So this can be represented with the help of magnetic scalar potential can be represented. The magnetic field can be represented with the help of magnetic scalar potential, that is like this del cross B. So cross is always a represent, we know that it is always a represent del cross B is equal to mu naught J is what we can represent it as the magnetic field can be represented as a magnetic scalar potential. So, in regions of space in the absence of currents, we know that if there is no current, the J term here, the magnetic potential scalar representation will having a J term, this J term will become 0. So, this again we can rewrite as del cross B is equal to 0. So, now from this equation we can say that B is derivable from the gradient of potential. So, this can be derived from the gradient potential. So, we will derive this on the next slide, that is so B can be easily derived from the gradient potential, that is how we can explain we can study here, that is B can be represented as a gradient of a scalar, that is the scalar quantity that we are taken here for representing the magnetic potential B, that is phi m, that is phi is a magnetic scalar potential that we are considered here for represent the magnetic potential. Similarly, that how we are replacing that E as a V in electrostatic for representing the B, that is magnetic field, that we have taken here phi m. So, the phi is a scalar quantity. So, previously and all cross we know that whenever cross is mentioned between quantities, it represent the cross product always represent the vector quantity. So, magnetic field is actually a vector quantity, but we need to convert it into scalar with taking a magnetic scalar potential by representing it as a magnetic scalar potential. This can be represented by using a scalar quantity, that is phi m. So, this therefore, B is equal to minus of del phi m, where phi m is called as a magnetic scalar potentials. For representing a magnetic field in terms of magnetic scalar potential, we are using phi m. So, this phi m is what the magnetic scalar potential. So, the presence of a magnetic moment m. So, phi m is what actually will be explained here. The presence of a magnetic moment m creates a magnetic field B, which is a gradient of some scalar field phi m. So, the phi m is a field that we can say the magnetic field will be represented by phi m. The divergence of the magnetic field B is 0. So, the divergence, that is now we are considering the magnetic scalar potential for magnetic field. So, this indicates here dot product. So, del dot B is always the divergence will be always 0 for magnetic field, that is equal to 0. So, by the definition the divergence of the gradient of the scalar field is also 0. So, this we are going to say that B is already we know the B value here which is represented as a magnetic scalar potential. So, substitute this here B value. So, this we going to become like a del square phi m. So, where the del square operator, the del square is called as Laplacian operator, and also this equation del square phi m is equal to 0, this is called as Laplace equation. So, this is how we are going to represent the magnetic field in terms of magnetic scalar potential, that is the term that we are the quantity that we are used is phi m, that is the field the using a scalar gradient of scalar quantity, that is phi m is used to represent the magnetic field in terms of magnetic scalar potential. So, now we know come up with the knowledge of magnetic scalar potential, the Laplace equation, that is del square phi m is always equal to 0, is valid only outside the magnetic sources and away from the currents. So, we considered by for deriving this is when a current is 0 and also outside the magnetic sources. So, a magnetic field can be calculated from the magnetic scalar potential using solutions of Laplace equation. So, this can be used for finding the magnetic field when we consider J is 0, that is there is no current and it is out of a magnetic source. So, then we can use the Laplace equation to find the magnetic field. So, next we move on to magnetic vector potential. So, the magnetic scalar potential is we know by deriving and all and the properties of magnetic scalar potential, that what we studied, it is only used in the region that is space when the current is 0 or away from the source, or we can say the free of currents, we can study the magnetic scalar potentials. So, if J is equal to 0, then only the magnetic flux density can be computed from the magnetic scalar potential. That is how the magnetic scalar definitions will say. And the potential function which overcomes this limitation and is useful to compute B in region where J is present is a magnetic vector potential. So, the potential function which overcomes this limit, in the sense whenever we crosses that without free of current, if the current is present also, then if we are able to find the magnetic field, that is magnetic potential, then if we overcome the whatever the drawback that we found in magnetic scalar potential, that is when J is equal to 0 only we consider the magnetic scalar potential. If we overcome this, that will become a magnetic vector potential for B, that is for magnetic field. So, the magnetic fields are generated by steady, or we can say that time independent. We consider this magnetic field generated by time independent currents, and it is satisfying the Gauss law, that is del dot B is equal to 0, the dot product is always is equal to 0. And also, since the divergence of a curl is 0 here, B can be written as a curl of a vector A. So, this is one of the thing, there is a property, it says that any solenoidal vector field, example like we consider B here, in physics can always be written as a curl of some other vector field A. So, the vector field of 1 can be represented as curl of some other vector field. One vector field can be represented as curl of some other vector field is what the concept that we have taken for deriving the formula. So, the quantity A is known as here as a magnetic vector potential. So, for finding a vector field of 1, we can able to take a curl of another vector. So, that vector, that is which vector we have taken as finding the vector of another field, represent the magnetic vector potential. So, here B is equal to del cross A. So, A is another vector field, that is a curl of vector which will going to give a magnetic field which is represent as magnetic vector potential. So, next we move on to another topic, that is Gauss transformation. This is important things from having the knowledge of magnetic scalar and as well as magnetic vector potentials. We need to know better about the Gauss transformation. According to the Helmholtz theorem, a vector field is fully specified by its divergence and its curls. So, the Helmholtz theorem says that any vector field is always represent fully with the help of divergence and curl. So, the curl of the vector potential A, if we consider curl of A, vector potential of A, which gives the magnetic field B. So, we already know this by finding the magnetic vector potential. So, for B, it is B is equal to del cross A is what the magnetic vector potential. So, this will going to help us what the Helmholtz theorem says. It is a vector field is always specified, or it always consists of divergence and also the curl. This equation we can say that the divergence of A has no physical significance here. So, the divergence is simply if we remove this also, there is it does not affects on B, that is magnetic field. So, if we say that del dot A can be chosen freely as desired. So, if we choose any value of this product, that is del dot A vector, we can, it does not affect on magnetic field, that is what it is saying here from with this equation. So, according to the equation, so if we say B is equal to del cross A. So, B is equal to del cross is what the equation that we are find with the magnetic vector potential. The magnetic field is invariant under the transformation. So, we will come up with the conclusion that a magnetic field does not affect with variables, that is magnetic field is invariant under any transformation, it does not going to be affected. So, magnetic field will remains as it is. So, the transformation will be like this. So, we know that if we change this value, it does not going to affect the magnetic field. So, if we changing this value, that is A is transformed to A minus del psi is very small changes if we made in A, it does not affect on magnetic field. And also in other words, we can say the vector potential is undetermined to the gradient of a scalar field. So, vector potential is what a cross product. If vector potential is undetermined for a gradient of scalar field. So, if we consider the vector potential is always undetermined for a gradient of scalar field. So, this can be said that del dot A, that is dot product, can be chosen as desired also. So, this also says this dot product and cross product can be choose as our desired, it is free of choice. So, next how we are going to transform this also, that is a scalar potential. So, the electric scalar potential is undetermined to an arbitrary additive constant. So, since the transformations for this, that is phi, the field electric field is what phi in the sense for a scalar magnetic scalar potential is what we have taken. This is phi is what that we have taken in magnetic scalar potential for represent electric field. If we represent this phi as a phi plus c, where a small changes will be there, this does not affect on any electric field. So, leaves the electric field invariant in equation. So, these equations we remember that we got it from electric magnetic scalar potential, that is E is always represents in terms of phi. So, E is equal to minus del phi. So, if we change this phi with the small increase additive of some constant like c, it does not affect on electric fields. So, the transformations that we come up for the scalar and vector potentials is like this. For A field, A is a vector field, A is transformed as A minus del psi, and a phi, that is field for scalar potential of electric scalar potential, that can be transformed as phi plus c. So, these two transformation does not affect any of this that is fields, that is magnetic field and electric field. These are the examples of Gauss transformation. So, this is what that basic concept of Gauss transformation. It purely depends on, according to Helmholtz theory, that quantities is purely depends upon the curl and its divergence, and is the vector field is purely dependent on the curl and divergence. So, even though if we are changing this potentials, it does not affect on any of these values. So, finally, we come up this conclusion, thus in electromagnetic theory several gauges have been used to advantage depending on the specific types of calculations, because this Gauss transformation will makes the equations simpler. So, as the coordinates, as the variables or the electric fields increases, there will be a complex equation will come. So, this will be very much difficult for studying. So, this Gauss transformation makes a equation simpler. So, the choice of a particular function psi or a particular constant c is referred to as a choice of Gauss. So, this is our choice. So, we can select according to our functions like psi or c according to your choice of Gauss. So, the Gauss can be fixed as desired. So, this can be fixed as our desired. If it is a scalar potential or vector potential, we can have a fixed Gauss, and usually it is chosen to make equation the simplest possible. As I said, the field, as the vector field number increases, this is going to affect the equation, because the equations also becomes complex. So, with the help of Gauss transformation, that we can make the equation simpler, because this constant can be desirable and we can choose of our own, and it is convenient to choose Gauss for a scalar potential is what we come up with this, that is phi, that is phi times to 0 at infinity. Whenever for the we are going to choose a Gauss for a scalar potential, we need to consider phi tends to 0 at infinity. And also the Gauss for A is chosen such that del dot A, that is this particular choice del dot A is known as a Coulomb Gauss. This is what we always need to choose, the del dot A, and also this del dot A is always known as a Coulomb Gauss. So, next we move on to the Maxwell's theory. So far we studied about the different Gauss transformation, and also now we are going to concentrate on Maxwell's theory, where we are going to study about the different concept behind this Maxwell theory. So, Maxwell's proposed the Maxwell's equations based on the previously proposed some of the equations. So, we are going to study the basics things and what are the important things required for the proposal of a Maxwell equation. So, the very first thing is the magnetic theory is we know that it is developed by James Maxwell, and it is always based on this 4 concepts, which consist of like this: the electric field that we are consider if the charge is placed like this, positive or negative charge apart with a distance of r in between this. Always we know from the electric field basic concept, the charge of a positive electric field, the field from the positive charge will be away, and also negative charge, the field will be towards it. So, this is what the basic concept of charge and electric field. The electric field E begins on a positive charge and end on negative charge, and the Coulomb's law can be used to find the field E and the force on a given charge. So, the force or field E that can be find with the help of Coulomb's law. So, Coulomb's law is always says this: if a charge is placed apart a distance of r, which is exerting a force, that will be equal to q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. The charge will be equal to charge divided by, that is q represent the charge, divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. So, r is the distance between two charges and q is a charge, and this will be the electric field. So, this is what the Coulomb's law says, and also the force on the charge can be find out with the help of this formula, that is F is equal to q into E, which gives a force. The next basic concept for Maxwell's theory, that is magnetic field lines phi do not begin or end, but rather consist of entirely closed loops. So, it comes to the magnetic field now. So, the magnetic field lines, that is which is we know that it is always from north to south, N to S, it is moving from north to south. The magnetic field lines phi do not begin or end, but rather consist of entirely closed loop. There is no end and there is no beginning for it. So, it is forms a closed loop like this. This is what we can observe, and also the B magnetic field is can be found out with the help of this formula. B is equal to phi, this is field, this phi represents the field, magnetic field, divided by A sin theta, and B is equal to q divided by qv sin theta, is what the two formula with the help of this we can able to find the magnetic field. So, next we move on to another important thing which will going to help us for the Maxwell's equations proposal, that is changing a magnetic field, that is delta B is what represent a change, it is small delta represent the change of B. The change in the magnetic field induces an EMF and therefore an electric field E. Whenever there is a change in magnetic field, that will going to induce an EMF and therefore it will going to produce an electric field. So, this can be said as a Faraday's law. Faraday's law, it says that whenever a change in a magnetic field is there is an induced EMF will be generated. So, this induced EMF will going to be helpful in the flow of current. And so, here we consider the a coil of area A with n turns. So, that number of turns will be n turns and the area of the coil will be A. The induced current will be in this direction whenever the magnetic field is here, it is changed. If the magnetic field here it is changed, there will be a induced EMF and therefore, we can say the electric field will be present. This states the Faraday's law. The Faraday's law, whenever the induced EMF generated, that is EMF is equal to minus n delta phi divided by delta t, that is change in flux with the time, and this will going to have the equation of Faraday's law. So, minus sign is due to the Lenz's law that we need to know, and n is number of turns, phi is B into A, that is magnetic flux, and B is external magnetic field. B is here, B into A is what the magnetic flux, B is external magnetic field and A is the area of coil and N is the number of turns. And also we can say that the Lenz's law says this: when an EMF is generated, that is we know that there is a change of magnetic field, the EMF will be generated, that is what the Faraday's law. So, the polarity of the induced EMF is decided by Lenz's law. The Lenz's law says that polarity of induced EMF is such that it produces a current whose magnitude field opposes the change which produces it. So, which is a cause for current? The current direction is due to the magnetic field. So, always the current direction will be opposite to that of magnetic field. So, we can observe here, if it is in this direction magnetic field, the current will be in this direction. This is what the Lenz law says, that is why we have taken in the Faraday's EMF generated equation, that is as a minus sign. And also a change in flux delta phi can be occur by a change in area or by change in the field. So, this can be represented by this is delta phi is equal to B into delta A, or also it can be represented as delta phi is equal to A into delta B. So, by changing the magnetic field or by changing the area, which can be a change in the field, that is change in the flux can be represented, can be occur by a change in the magnetic field or by change in the area. So, next important theory is which is helpful for Maxwell's equation proposal, that is having a moving charge induces a magnetic field. So, now onwards we are moving towards the magnetic field concept, that is moving charge will be induces a magnetic field. So, if a solenoid which is a few number of turns wound around a conductor is forms a solenoid, few turns of coil wound around a conductor forms a solenoid. The solenoid is represented here, which is having a inductance L, and this is the length of a solenoid, and this is a direction of a magnetic field, and this is R, the resistor, and the solenoid will be having like this, and we can observe this the induced due to the induced EMF, and the current will be flowing like this in the turns in the coil of the solenoid, and the current I induces a B field. Due to the current, we can say that B will be induces, that is what it is saying. We are saying that moving charges, moving charge in the sense electric current, flow of current, flow of charge. So, this will going to induce a magnetic field. Whenever there is a current, we can assume that there is a magnetic field. So, due to the current, the magnetic field will be there. This can be find out with the help of a formula, that is B is equal to nu naught N I divided by L. So, nu is equal to permittivity and N is the number of turns, I is the current, L is the length of the solenoid. And also here also we can apply the Lenz law for finding the direction of a current. So, finding the direction of current will be like this. If we say the current is moving upward in a conductor, if it is moving upward, we can say it is a anti-clockwise. Here also we can assume the same, thing. If it is moving upwards, if we hold the conductor in this way, thumb is making a direction of current, the magnetic field direction will be find out like this, it is always anti-clockwise, and if it is moving downward, the thumb will be always indicate the current direction, then the magnetic field direction will be clockwise. This is a Lenz law. So, how the production of an electric wave will be, consider a metal rod connected to an AC source with a sinusoidal current and voltage. So, this will going to produce the electric field, and this is like this, where we can find this arrow marks indicates the electric field. This is how it is will be, and also the vertical transverse sinusoidal E wave will be generated when from the AC source. And alternating a magnetic field and current, the AC sinusoidal current also generates a magnetic wave alternating in and out, because we know that a moving charge or electric current will going to generate the magnetic field. So, the magnetic field will be like this, which is if we find the conductor which is carrying the current, we hold the conductor like this, which is the thumb direction is always say the direction of current, and also previously said if it is upward direction, anti-clockwise will be the field direction, magnetic field direction. If it is downward, clockwise will be the field direction. So, the generation of the magnetic wave will be like this, it is always perpendicular to the electric field. The generation of a magnetic field is due to the oscillation of the charge, or we can say the AC current. So, this is how the field will be formed, and the arrow shows the electric field vectors here, and it is moving in these directions. The horizontal transverse sinusoidal B waves is what it is representing in the figure. So, finally, we by merging the electric field and magnetic field is what the electromagnetic wave. So, an electromagnetic wave consists of a combination of electric field and as well as magnetic field which is perpendicular to each other. So, this will be represented in the picture. This will give the electromagnetic wave which is having the electric field and also the magnetic field with the magnetic field vector and electric field vector, and this is propagated in a space in this direction is what I mentioned here. So, transmitting or receiving. So, here electromagnetic waves can be used in many communication device from which can be transmitted from the transmitter and can be received in the received signal like this, which can be represented in the same manner from the transmitter side to receiving side, which is having electric field and magnetic field perpendicular to each other. So, finally, we come to the end of the session. Let us have a quick summary. Very first things that we studied about in this session is about the magnetic potential, which is going to be helpful for finding the magnetic vector potential and as well as magnetic scalar potential. This is a method that where we are going to use magnetic field by using a quantity called potentials. So, potentials is added here for finding the magnetic field. So, using this potentials we are able to find the vector fields of magnetic field. So, this will be useful for finding a Gauss transformation also. By having the knowledge of scalar and vector potentials, we can have the Gauss transformation where which will going to help us in reducing the complexity of equation by choosing some of the constants for vector potential and as well as magnetic scalar potentials. And also we know about the different laws that is taken by Maxwell's for deriving the Maxwell equations. In this session we did not derive the Maxwell equation, just we have the knowledge of whatever the formulas that he considered before proposing the Maxwell equations. So, he also considered the Faraday's law where it states the change in the magnetic field induces the EMF and also the direction of the induces the EMF, and this will going to produce a current. So, the direction of current in the coil will be stated with the help of Lenz's law. In the Lenz's law it states always the current will be in the direction of in opposite direction of causing it. So, it is always the current direction is always in opposite to the magnetic field direction. And finally, at the end we are going to study about the generation of electric and magnetic field and how this magnetic vector field and electric vector field will be represented in a electromagnetic wave. So, some of the questions of what is magnetic scalar and vector potentials, explain the concept of Gauss transformation, state Lenz's law. This ends the session. Thank you.